Present arms. Order arms.
Left, please. Forward, harder.
We will now play the POW MIA prayer.
I dedicate
Uncover,
this special
parade
prayer
rest.
to every veteran that has served our country. I know I'm not alone in thanking you for giving us a home to raise our families in freedom and liberty. This prayer is for you. God of our fathers, whose almighty hand hath made and preserved our nation, grant that our people may understand. May they remember how bitterly our freedom was won, the down payment that was made for it, the installments that have been made since this republic was born, and the price that yet still must be paid for our liberty. May freedom be seen not as the right to do as we please, but as the opportunity to please, to do what is right. May it ever be understood that our liberty is under God, and it can be found nowhere else. May our faith be something that is not merely stamped upon a coin, but expressed in our lives, our hearts, and our very souls. Let us as a nation not be afraid of standing alone for the rights of men, since we were born that way, as the only nation on earth that came into being for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith. We know that we shall be true to our forefathers' dream, and we are true to the God they worshiped. To the extent that America honors thee, will thou bless America and keep her true as thou hast kept her free. And Lord, make her good, as thou hast made her so rich. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Group attention. Covered. Please be seated. And now it is my honor to introduce Guy Kaplecki, American Legion Post 88, who will present Dr. Lloyd Gabriel for us this evening.
Thank you all for coming. It's my privilege to introduce our speaker. I have known Dr. Gabriel for over 50 years. He tells me that he's 96 3/4. But I have to tell you, I have to translate that into 96 and 6 months old, or 9 months old. Gabe is a retired professor from Central Washington University, a veteran of both World War II and Korea, a POW in Germany during World War II. He currently is the commander of the Department of Washington and ex-PO of war, and the commander of the Tri-Cities POW chapter. His life story is in the National Archives of Washington, D.C., and also in the POW Museum in Anderson, Georgia. He's an advocate for veterans, a prolific writer, and just a genuinely good guy. Tonight, this former SELA resident, a 30-year veteran of SELA, American Legion Post 88, and a life member of VFW, will share his POW experiences. Gabe entered the Army Air Corps January 8, 1942, and was assigned as a ball turret gunner on a B-17. On the 12th mission, January 30th, 1944, their plane was shot down over Holland. He was taken captive and was a POW in Germany until liberated May 2nd, 1945. And now, let me introduce you to Dr. Lloyd Gabriel.
Thank you, Guy. On behalf of the Department of Washington American Ex-Prisoners of War, I wish to thank Commander Al and our Guy and Dave Purcell from the American Legion Post 88 in Salem for making this happen. This is a special day for ex-POWs. There was also a ceremony this morning at McCord Field on the west side. There's also a ceremony at Walla Walla VAMC, in which they have ceremonies every year, in which this is National Recognition Day for MIAs and POWs. It's a special day for us because those of us who were POWs saw many of our comrades die while POWs, and to remember them and to make sure that they're never forgotten, we come together. And I appreciate all of you being here to help me recognize and remember that they shall never be forgotten. Just a little bit of history. On January 8th, 1942, I hitchhiked to Dallas, Texas to save money. I didn't have much money, so I hitchhiked to enlist in the Army Air Corps. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, I had been sworn in. And from there, I went to Wichita Falls, Shepherd Field, then from there to Spokane, Washington. I wanted to be an aircraft mechanic, and they said, no, you'll have to wait your turn, but you have a choice of being an MP or a truck driver. Well, I'm too small to be an MP, so I decided to be a truck driver. I wound up being a staff car driver for General Nathan Bedford Forrest III, the grandson of the Civil War general. And from there, I went to gunnery school and wound up being a ball turret gunner. Our group formed in Geiger Field in Spokane. We trained in Montana from the middle, about July of 1943 until October, and from October 1943, they didn't have enough B-17s. We lost so many, we didn't have enough planes to fly over. We drew straws and my crew lost. We had to ride by troop train to New York City. We got on to Queen Mary, and 5.5 days later wound up in Glasgow, Scotland. We started our first mission was over Bremen, Germany. And I thought it was really unusual when you go into a target and you line up and you have what is called an initial point out here, and that's when all the aircraft go at that point turn back toward the target to drop your bombs. Once we turned that and I kind of looked up ahead, I'm in the ball, I can see everything underneath here. And we flew in 3 formations of 23, 25, and 27,000 feet with staggered formations. And we were about in the middle of the formation, and I could look up ahead and I said, gee, there's a nice black cloud up there. Well, that looks like a blue norther coming out in West Texas, you know. Well, come to see, it got darker and darker. It was an aircraft fire bursting. And so that was my first introduction to that. We flew, most of our missions were like Bremen, Germany, or factories in the Ruhr Valley or anywhere. We also bombed 3 night fighter squadrons in France. And I had flown with 3 different crews. They were short of all-turret gunners. You ask, well, why were you a ball-turret gunner? When you're young and dumb, you do a lot of things. And that was me. I earned it well. But it was, I made a mistake of when I was in gunnery school, I made the mistake of crawling in a ball turret, had twin 50s. And they had a target out there. When I shot, I just blew the heck out of stuff. And I thought that was fun. So when we got together as the crew and formed, no one wanted to fly the ball, and so there I was. Most fellows are about 4'10" or 5'2" that fly the ball. I was 5'11" and a half and 158 pounds. Much more supple than I am today, of course. But anyhow, so we were flying our missions, and we got hit over the target, and we lost number 4 engine, caught on fire. Our pilot, we had a good pilot, he got the engine of the fire out. When you see a fire coming out of an engine of a B-17 with high octane gas, it makes you quiver all over. In other words, it's really, of all the things, it's kind of scary. He got it out, and then we continued on, and then we lost number 2 engine. He couldn't, it started windmill. He couldn't feather the engine, and we started vibrating. We started losing altitude, and we went down. The pilot called, finally said, everyone get out, and he told us to bail out. We couldn't hold the aircraft any longer. I was in the ball. My job was to get out and make sure everyone else was out. The radio operator in the back of the aircraft, the 2 waist gunners, the tail gunner, and myself. So when I got out, and I was too big, I couldn't wear my parachute in the ball. I had my parachute outside the turret. I had to get out of the turret and put on my parachute, and then I had to put on I had a throat mic. I put on my throat mic, and I called the pilot, and I said, Skipper, everyone's out. He said, you have 10 seconds to go. We're 25,000 feet, 2,500 feet. I'm going in 10 seconds. Well, I made it in 3. Then I want you to know I was well prepared to be able to use a parachute. We'd had a 30-minute lecture of how to use a parachute, and that was all. And so the one thing this captain that gave us this 30-minute lecture said, now if you're coming down and you look as if you're going to hit something on the ground, then you reach up and grab the shroud lines here, and you do like this, and you just kind of scoot whichever way you pull. Well, he didn't tell you that when you pull it, you're going to swing. And I could see that thing going, you know. I turned it loose right away, and I'm going to hit wherever I hit. And so, of course, I hit wrong. I hit on the ground. I'm going up a foot, a knee, and a shoulder. And I was loose for about 2 hours. I hit in the backyard of my Dutch home, and I was loose about 2 hours. And